Good afternoon, students, seniors, guests, family, teachers, friends. It's good to see you here today for our last day of senior speeches. We spoke yesterday about Odysseus, the hero who is his own bard. He sings his own glory. He sits at the feast and tells his own story. He didn't need someone else to do it for him. Everybody else is working hard to get someone else to tell their story. And we got to hear your stories the last few days. We're going to get to hear some more stories. And then we'll talk one more time at the very end about Odysseus and the story that he sings. So, without further ado, today we will hear from the following four seniors. And again, I will introduce them now, and then I will stay out of their way, and they'll just come up one after the other. But we have going in this order today, right? Josie Powe, followed by Andrew Grete, followed by Chandler Weaver, followed by Gantt Higginbotham. So, Josie, the stage is yours.
Welcome students, faculty, and parents, and thank you for attending the final day of the 2022 Eastwood Senior Speeches. If you know me, you know that I sometimes don't have a lot of patience for things, or people, so it may surprise you to learn that I have a weird obsession with puzzles. I always thought it was just a strange hobby, but lately I've begun to think it has something to do with my need for perfectionism. In a sense, you can win or succeed at finishing a puzzle, and the outcome never changes. I can solve them perfectly as long as I never lose a piece. So of course, I have an entire closet full of completed puzzles and ones to be completed to keep me entertained. On a boring afternoon, I always pull out a different puzzle to solve with a minimum of 1,000 pieces. For me, it's a challenge to finish as quickly as possible and as perfectly as possible, not just a time to relax. However, in order to solve it in this small period of time, I've created a foolproof process to complete the puzzle. For an extra challenge, I always put the top of the box away because looking at the finished picture is cheating. Despite my careful preparations, there's still a chance that I might lose a piece, the worst thing to happen. How do puzzles relate to school though? I'm sure you're dying to know. While working on a puzzle, I always start with the horribly boring and irritating stage of flipping all the pieces over and laying them out in nice, ordered rows. It takes about an eternity, but it's extremely necessary to carry on and finish the puzzle. However, in order for this process to be complete, every single piece must be turned over, and they all must be visible. So, after a few hours of sitting with a cramped hand trying to turn these tiny pieces over, I ponder why I even pulled this one off the shelf. Throughout my time at Eastwood, I've developed a need for perfectionism where my grades have become my top priority and failing is not an option. I'm sure you can imagine how this might be a problem. 10th grade is when this started taking over me. I felt like I was losing control of my life, so I turned to focusing completely on my grades in order to maintain a sense of stability. It was something that I could control. These grades are the puzzle pieces laid out before me that must be placed in the correct spot in order for the puzzle to be perfect. The correct spot for me has always been high A's. Anything below that is failing. The process of organizing the pieces represents the time and effort that I must put in for preparation for a major assignment or test. Studying, asking questions, and writing a study guide are all a part of the process of laying these pieces out in rows, something I feel like I can manage and do correctly. At the beginning, it feels like I'm in control of the puzzle, but unfortunately I'm not. The image on the box is the only thing I can put together, not a different picture. The second step of solving a puzzle starts with gathering the edges and putting them together along with the easier sections in the middle. These edges create a frame, and I can predict what the puzzle will look like in the end. It feels like it'll be perfect, and that's what I strive for. Perfectionism isn't necessarily about being perfect, but about feeling that you can reach perfection. It's unrealistic, but for some reason, I can't give it up. It gives me something to look to and focus on ahead, giving me a goal that pushes me to work harder. This frame of the puzzle is like feeling ready for a test. Once you feel confident about it, you feel like you can never fail. It creates a sense of security where you can do no wrong since you basically have all the answers before you, right? However, just like there's always one edge piece hidden in the rows of pieces, there's always doubts in my mind that it's not good enough, that I didn't spend enough hours studying or reading the material, even though I spent the last 3 days with my head in my anatomy notes. I put more time and more effort in, but the result still stays the same. While beginning to start on the middle of the puzzles, I hit a point where I just can't find the one piece that should be obvious in the rows of pieces. When I should be able to get up and take a break and do something else, I'm stuck, searching for the one thing to complete that section. As I study, I'm held in place, not able to do anything until I feel as if studying is complete. While perfectionism is supposed to stop the stress of receiving a failing grade, more stress always accumulates because of it. As I reach the end of the puzzle, the frame of the puzzle begins to fill, but I'm left with incompleteness. Little holes dot the surface, and sometimes it feels as if the puzzle will never end. Perfectionism can't be completed. It nags and guilts me into thinking that I can never be enough to reach perfection, which is true. I can't. No one can. It's the bleak reality of it. Grade after grade is received, but no matter how close to 100 they are, it's not good enough. The puzzle is finally almost done, but it feels incomplete, like there's something missing. When reaching for perfection, expectation of others pulls you down. There's no praise in finishing a puzzle 100 times, just like there's no praise in always getting A's. It's expected by everyone else at this point, so that your hard work seems meaningless. Doing a bad job on one test is like finally losing a piece of the puzzle permanently. The puzzle becomes a failure in my mind. Tests are the same way. One bad grade in a class makes the whole class imperfect. Perfectionism may make me try and work harder, but it tears me down at the same time. It motivates, but brings along guilt, doubt, and stress with it. However, as I place my final piece, the picture of the puzzle can't be whatever I want it to be. With a piece missing from it, it doesn't mean that the entire puzzle is wrong. Something can be its best and can be what it's meant to be, but still not match my idea of perfection. I've had to learn that imperfection does not necessarily mean bad, just incomplete, and that the whole puzzle wasn't for nothing in the end. While many people don't understand the need for perfection, it was a coping mechanism, an unhealthy one, that I created in times of stress and chaos. These past years, I've had to learn that failure, in my own eyes, was okay. It wasn't the end of the world getting a B, though it was very upsetting. Perfectionism is not worth reaching for. Setting an impossible goal that disappoints me every time I try only hurts. The idea of my puzzle didn't turn out the way I originally expected it to. Even though it may be imperfect, it's still better than I wanted it to be. Finally, at the last piece of the puzzle, I'd like to thank the people in my life that helped me throughout the entire process. First, thank you to all the teachers and faculty at Eastwood for everything y'all do and for answering all my questions and entertaining my arguments at times. Sorry about that. Shout out to Miss C for being my plant supplier. I cherish them all, especially my monstera. And thank you for piecing together my random ideas about Fahrenheit 451 and putting them into actual words. Mr. Miller, thank you for actually playing good music in the mornings and having fantastic music taste. It's the only way I can stand school mornings now. The good old crunchy farmer himself, Mr. Teal. Where is he? Thank you for always teaching to the students instead of just teaching the class. You always made history entertaining, even though it's kind of just boring facts. You will be missed. To my class, y'all are certainly something. Thank you for never letting me have a dull day at school. I'd also like to thank my close friends and family for supporting me all throughout my life. Gianna, who knows what I'd do without you? We've been through all the highs and lows of middle and high school, and I probably couldn't have done it with anyone else. To Preston, thank you for always reminding me that I don't have any common sense at times, and humbling me when I think I'm smart. I love all the little random facts you tell me, no matter how niche they can get. Mom, or Ma Susie, thank you for being such a hard worker, even when you're crippled at the moment. I know I nag, but you still try to do your best and manage to keep everything together. The most important lesson that I've had to learn at my time at Eastwood is that school really isn't all about getting high grades. Perfectionism isn't the standard. It's about recognizing and learning from your mistakes in order to prepare for the next puzzle. As a perfectionist, mistakes are one of my biggest struggles, as I fear everyone will look down upon me. However, my teachers here have never shamed me for getting something wrong, but instead redirected me to the right piece. The right piece being the one that I had lost during my struggle with reaching for perfection. They've guided me to what the actual puzzle should look like, and not the perfect one that I had pictured in my mind. Thank you.
I suppose it's my turn to become like Odysseus and sing my own story. I've recently read a story that spoke to me deeply, and I liked very much. Now, this may not be the coolest story, and it's likely more nonsensical than most of you can stand, but I'd like to share this story with you today. It's about a friendly denizen of the stars who strands himself on Earth, is saved by and befriends a troubled human child, and experiences the wonders of dangers of Earth before being cast into a harrowing adventure that rapidly spirals into disaster. If anyone's getting E.T. vibes, that's not surprising. However, this extraterrestrial tale tackles a more serious tone. The story is from an illustrated novel called Takopi's Original Sin by Japanese author Taisen 5. In it, a cheer-filled, octopus-like inhabitant from the distant planet Happy comes to Earth on a mission to spread happiness. This mission, however, meets an immediate roadblock in a little girl named Shizuka, whose life circumstances have rendered her unable to smile. Armed with the motto, "Talking brings happiness," and an arsenal of alien gadgets, the small alien, nicknamed Takopi, tries to solve Shizuka's problems. Despite his attempts to change the hearts of the mean-spirited humans he runs into with words, Takopi finds that the malice of the world runs deeper than flowery words can reach. With each failed attempt, he learns more about the brokenness of the human world as he experiences Shizuka's suffering himself. His efforts continue until an irreversible crime is committed, sending the story into a downward spiral of disaster and tragedy. In the end, Shizuka has become an irredeemable mess, subject to the inescapable dilemmas the world set upon her, as well as her flawed responses to them. At the height of her sufferings, Takopi sacrifices himself to turn back time and give Shizuka one last chance at having a happy life. Left with the memory of the persistent alien and the good things he did for their lives, Shizuka and the other characters resolve to pick up the pieces of their broken lives and work together to fix the brokenness of their world. First and foremost, I like this story because of its exposition of the broken and disappointing world many children face and continue to face throughout their lives. It conveys the hopeless feeling of not being able to change anything and the daily defeat of earnest kindness. It also displays the ultimate triumph of kindness and self-sacrifice, and the real yet sometimes unapparent effects of never giving up. Yet in the midst of all that, Takopi's Original Sin possesses a certain quality, that of its similarity to the story of Christ. In short, there are these direct parallels between this story and that of Christ. An outside, sinless being comes to fix a broken, hopeless world. While originally and perfectly innocent, this being still experiences the depths of human sin and depravity. This allows him to truly understand the gravity and the difficulty of his mission. Even despite the miracles he performs, this being is rejected entirely by those he seeks to save, and ultimately, the only way to save the people he cares about is to sacrifice himself. These elements speak deeply to the reader of any story that includes them, whether it be a biblical story, a pagan folk tale, or a modern-day novel. C.S. Lewis recognized the transcendental qualities of such elements to be the basis of what is known as myth. Lewis held the concept of myth very highly, and defined it not just as the stories of bygone civilizations, but as any story with the following characteristics. First, having a meaning that transcends its medium. These stories are able to be shaped and molded into any setting, plot, or creative medium. Think of stories like Shakespeare's or Jane Austen's and the countless modern adaptations that have been made of their works, yet still retain their original meaning and feeling. The second qualification is that the story's primary enjoyment is derived not from its execution, such as the use of suspense or sudden plot twist, but through the very events that happen and the ideas and feelings this entire story evokes. This list of characteristics also includes provoking sympathy for all mankind rather than just a specific character, dealings with the fantastic and impossible, and the qualities of seriousness and awe-inspiration. Upon this definition of myth, Lewis held up the story of Christ as the ultimate myth, the true myth that actually happened and continues to be the greatest story known to mankind. It possesses all qualities of a myth, especially that of its base meaning transcending history, appearing in countless stories written throughout the generations, like the story I've just told to you. In effect, every one of these stories is a reflection of the myth they embody, different views of the same mythical iceberg, varying only in their execution. Just as every good story is a reflection of the myth it is derived from, I believe that these myths carry so much meaning because they, in turn, reflect the human experience and the story of creation itself. I believe that God is, in effect, an author, the original author who committed the greatest act of creative expression through the writing of creation. While I may sometimes tangle myself up in the specifics and conventions of such a metaphor, my subscription to it has allowed me to see the world in a new light and to more easily grasp the big picture of creation. It has made me feel closer to God through my own creative acts, as by writing stories, I too become a reflection of God in his role as the ultimate author, the one who's writing the story of my life. Stories and myths, myths and creation, creation and God. Every one of these pairs are like a beautiful image and its fractal reflection as seen in a gemstone. Each of the former is found attractive because they display some aspect or another of the latter, each pointing ultimately to both the greatest story and its teller. For whatever reason that you might like a story, whether it be for its deep and subtle themes, for its calling you to a sense of the other and the fantastic, or just for the funny aliens and space gadgets, it's an entertaining thought to wonder if God likes it for the same reason, especially considering that he wrote the story that all stories are a part of. As for thank yous, there can never be said enough. If I were to tell every person who has helped me why I'm grateful for them, we'd be here all day, as if it doesn't feel like that already. Right? Instead, I'll have to settle for giving out my thanks generally, if not liberally. To the teachers I've had over the years, you're all amazing. It must certainly have been a challenge to get me to put in the effort needed to succeed, and for that I commend and thank you. You've opened my eyes and mind to so many different avenues, and I wouldn't love learning half as much as I do now if it weren't for all the in, before, and after class conversations about whatever scratched my intellectual itch. To my friends and classmates, you're all amazing. As funny, interesting, and kind as you are, you guys managed to coax me into leaving my shell and had the patience to deal with the chaotic mess that slid out. Thanks to all of you, I've managed to at least become less of an awkward, cringy, socially immature book nerd. To my parents, you two are amazing. Mom, you and Dad have been nothing less than the best parents I could have asked for. I know it must have been hard to give enough attention and affection to nurture the emotional growth of such a fragile-hearted brat as I've been, with 6 to 5 other kids to worry about. I know that it's not helped at all to be so closed off, short-spoken, and lazy as I've been. And yet here we are, at the end of a long road for me and a longer road for you. I couldn't have asked for better guides, and I never once have wanted any. It's thanks to you both that I love God so much and want to serve him with my life. Even if it's hard to see sometimes, your refusal to give up on me really has made the biggest difference in my life. Thank you. To teachers, friends, and family, both present and absent, thank you. I wouldn't be even a fraction of the person I am today without all of you. And please, everyone, remember that God is, always has been, and always will be in absolute control, and that he loves you. No matter how hard or scary or wrong things might feel right now, please remember that he's writing in every detail, both the happy and the hard ones, so lovingly. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the class of 2022 senior speeches. Thank you for attending and listening to our last words as high school seniors. Before I ever became a senior or reached second semester, I already knew the topic of my speech. I knew that I wanted to talk about something that I love, something that I spend most of my free time doing, and that can teach life lessons beyond just having fun. If you know me well enough, you have probably already guessed what this is. If not, I am pleased to inform you that I will be talking about fishing. I've been fishing with friends and family since I was a youngster. However, in 2017, it really started to become a passion for me. That's when I got my first rod and reel combo for Christmas from Bass Pro Shops, and I could not put it down. It was an open face reel, also known as a spinning reel, anchored by a medium light action rod. I would watch YouTube videos for hours just trying to master different ways to fish the same lure. While you can't fish too many different things on a spinning combo, I pushed the limits. I did as much with it as I possibly could, as well as whatever it took to catch fish. I loved that reel, but what I really wanted was a bait caster, the reel of a real fisherman. Even though I did not have one at the time, I was learning how to use one. A bait caster is the most challenging reel you can cast. Having the tension knob set correctly, the brakes on the right setting, and the drag tight enough for when you set the hook all come into play. If you slip on one of these required tasks, your whole trip may be ruined. It's like school. If you do not study, pay attention in class, or even get a good night's rest, your day, week, or year may become a nightmare. The most important part in throwing a bait caster is placing your thumb on the line at the right time. If you place it too early, your cast will not go where you want it to. If you place it too late, you will backlash the line into knots around your spool. Then you have to pick them out carefully by hand. Like your thumb in casting, your mentality and attitude in school is the most important element. However, it can be the easiest to let slip away from you. You have to have the same level of concentration for every cast, just as you do for every assignment. Whether it is a minor or major grade, your focus must be 100% at all times. It becomes engraved in your mind what to do once you have done it so many times. Even then, if you slip up just once, you will be backlashed before you even realize it, or you will be behind on all of your assignments. When I was learning how to use a bait caster, I had my struggles as everyone does, but I also had my triumphs. One rainy April day, I was out fishing with a friend. He started to teach me how to use a bait caster. I would say that I did average with it for my first time. I made a few good casts, but also had to pick out a few bird's nests along the way. However, neither of us were expecting what was about to happen next. I was throwing a swim bait on one of his bait casters since I did not have my own. Swim baits resemble bait fish, which bass eat. While we were fishing, I was throwing the swim bait parallel to the bank. Within 3 casts, I caught 2 6-pound bass. This moment will forever be engraved in my mind. Not only were these 2 very large fish my first ones on a bait caster, but the catches gave me confidence to keep fishing and to make investments in new equipment and tackle. I tell this story to say that it is the same with school. Just as you cannot throw a bait caster on your first attempt, you cannot master your methods of studying and getting the grades that you want on the first attempt. When you're working your way through school and many other things in life, such as fishing, you get as much out of it as you put in. If you do not put in the time to fish, you physically cannot catch fish, learn new skills, obtain success with your current methods. Some people say that fishing is something that only requires luck. This is not the case. It requires many skills, such as knowing how and where to cast, learning what pattern the fish are on, and what time of day they are biting best. Even if you obtain the capability to do all of these, you cannot solely rely on them. One of the biggest requirements for succeeding at fishing or school is patience. While you want to catch fish every time you go out, this does not necessarily make you a good fisherman. There have been more times than I can count where I have come back from just a short trip empty-handed or even gone hours without a bite. This is why it is called fishing and not catching. My dad always says, your attitude is your altitude. If you go into fishing or school with a bad attitude, you can already predict the outcome. It is so easy to get frustrated with something that you love doing, such as fishing. Both school and fishing require tremendous amounts of work and patience to hone your skills and master your craft. Yet, if you bring positivity to what you are doing, it will make anything that is thrown your way much easier to handle. I would personally compare pulling a largemouth bass into the boat to making an A on your thesis or one of Mr. Miller's tests. The hard work and preparation that go into these tasks is not for the faint of heart. In fact, one must always choose wisely how they are going to use their time if they have these assignments on their plate. Just as catching one fish can change the whole trip and give you confidence to continue, so can one good grade. Now I would like to take the time to thank those who have helped me not only through my time in school, but also my endeavors in life. To the class, I don't know how we made it here, but I know that I could not have done it without y'all. I have had some of the best moments and laughs with y'all, and I would not trade those times for anything. Thank you to all of my teachers throughout my time at Eastwood that have helped me and wanted to see me grow, not only in my education, but in my faith as well. Every one of you made my school experience better in so many different ways, and begin to list them all. Ms. Taylor and Mr. Huff, thank you for being patient with me in math class over the years. I would not have made it through math without y'all's enormous help. Mr. Miller, thank you for being one of the best teachers I have ever had. I will always be jealous of your expertise in everything. I will never forget all the memories on the trips that we spent together and all of the talks that we had about various sports. Ms. Minshew, we should have told you this more often, but thank you for everything that you have done for our class and for being so patient with us, especially when traveling. Mr. Givens, thank you for dealing with our shenanigans, but also cracking jokes with us. The Friday funny videos really ended every week on a good note. Just remember, if you're ever on the amazing race, right in the kisser, show that night who's boss. Mr. Teal, you were one of the kindest people I have ever met. It was truly a blessing to be taught by you. I will miss seeing you every day, and you will be dearly missed at Eastwood. Seniors and student body, thank you for everything. I would also like to thank Miss Ingram for her patience that she has with all of us and for giving me ranch whenever I needed it. Thank you to all the coaches who have poured into my life, whether it be on the baseball field, basketball court, or at the gun range. You all have made a lasting impact on my life as an athlete and in my faith. The basketball guys, thank y'all for always having my back. I will never forget the memories that we made, whether we were playing, practicing, or eating out after a game. I am proud to say we made history this season. The baseball team, thank you for being my backup no matter where I was on the field, but especially on the mound. Y'all have not only made this the best season, but the best senior season. I'm so blessed to have y'all as my teammates and friends. Each one of you is so talented and a joy to be around. I will miss each one of you, and rest in peace, Toby. Tyler, Logan Lawrence, Lawson, Chris, and all the others in the student ministry and at Fraser who have helped me along the way. Thank you for creating a community that I know will hold me accountable and that I can come to for anything at any time. The Spires, thank you for taking me in as one of your own whenever I needed a place. Y'all are truly a blessing to my family and I. Papa and Hato, thank you for being the ones I call my grandparents. Y'all are the most godly people that I know, and I strive to live for Christ like y'all do. Thank you for all the encouraging words and support at many different sporting events. I will miss seeing y'all in the stands. Hato, thank you for also making the best meals. Nothing compares. And Peyton, thank you for being the best big sister. You work so hard at everything you do, and God has big plans for you. Dad, you have taught me everything that I know, and so many life lessons. I look up to you so much, and I'm more thankful for you than you'll ever know. Mom, you're truly the strongest person that I know. Thank you for everything that you do for us. You have shown me what true perseverance looks like and to never give up at anything. You really did kick cancer's butt. I love y'all more than I can say, and I am truly blessed to have y'all as my family. With that being said, I would like to close with this thought. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
My classmates have given you a number of different metaphors describing their high school experience, but I'll tell you what school is really like. School is like finding the fridge late at night. Everyone has experienced the feeling of being comfortably in bed, sound asleep, then out of nowhere you are overcome with hunger. This kind of hunger is not even at a human level. It is an animalistic hunger telling your body you need food and you need it now. This is a confusing feeling to wake up to. There's no telling what time it is, but you know that something is wrong. Something is missing. Something is so terribly wrong that you don't even know what's going on. The alarm clock could be going off, you don't know, or maybe Nate is burning down the house again. All of these thoughts fill your head until you realize, oh no, you're just hungry. Now that the food beast has awoken inside of you, sleeping is no longer an option, and you decide you must hunt. But where to go? Is the dark journey downstairs to the kitchen worth it? Are the cardboard-tasting gluten-free snacks the only thing you know the pantry is stocked with better than the comfortable bed? Just then you remember that downstairs there's something heavenly waiting for you. Leftovers. This was all the motivation you needed. Still dazed and confused with hunger, you pop out of bed and begin to navigate your way through the darkness of your room. Obstacles lie everywhere in your path, and the darkness of them allows them to attack you from every angle. Almost immediately, you stub your toe on the way out of your room. The pain is excruciating, and you fire a barrage of curse words at the door for what it did to you. Once you collect yourself, you realize profanity and rage will not solve your hunger, and that this is only the first of many obstacles to come. You also have to stumble down the stairs, tiptoe through the living room, and locate the refrigerator before you can conquer your hunger. After making it past these obstacles, the hunger is almost too much to bear. You blindly yet desperately attempt to figure out what is in the kitchen until your hands find the sleek, cool handles of the refrigerator. Shaking with hunger, you tear open the fridge, and the heavenly light of the fridge hits you like a flashbang. Once your eyes adjust, you see tucked away in the corner a white to-go box, and sure enough, it contains your leftovers and the key to sleep for the night. The leftovers are delicious, your hunger is quenched, and you begin to make your journey back upstairs feeling like a new man. Your bed embraces you, and you sleep like a baby, fat and happy. Here's the thing, though. I haven't even told you what was waiting for me in the fridge. In the fridge is a torta cubana, one of God's greatest creations. If you do not know what a torta cubana is, then first stop eating Chick-fil-A 3 meals a day and explore some new food. And second of all, you are missing out. A torta cubana is a Mexican-style sandwich, and the special thing about it is that you never know what will be on it. Whatever the restaurant has in the back could end up on your sandwich, and that's what makes this sandwich so enticing. While this method can lead to quite the interesting combination of ingredients on your sandwich, somehow it still always tastes good. Although no one can truly predict, through my experience, I can reasonably say that the torta cubana will have at least 3 different species of meat on it. This can range anywhere from having a combination of chorizo, ham, pork, steak, and chicken. If you're lucky, you may also get a couple grilled gas station Red Hot Mama hot dogs on it too. The torta is usually topped with lettuce, tomato, refried beans, cheese, pickled jalapeno, and a fried egg. Because of the variety and the unknown nature of this sandwich, there's a sense of irresistible thrill when ordering it. While it is quite an irresistibly thrilling sandwich, it is also one of those sandwiches you have to plan your day around, because there's no way you can be productive after eating this thing. Now let me tie it together for you. For me, middle school was like waking up in the middle of the night hungry. I was hungry to learn, to prove myself, and to find my place in the world, but I was surrounded by the darkness of the night. This darkness represented a lack of education, life experiences, and maturity in my life. Just like how it is a confusing feeling to wake up hungry, it is also a confusing feeling to know that things are missing from life and not know what these things are. At this age, I was not particularly responsible or independent. I looked for someone else to solve my problems, like my parents or my teachers. I knew there were answers to these problems, but I just did not know how to get to them. Also at this age, I was not thinking for myself. I went where I was told, never bothering to ask why or what to do. Instead of searching for food when waking up hungry, I instead asked someone to get the food for me. Eventually, I came to the point where I realized people were no longer going to solve my problems for me. So, with little education and minimal major life experiences under my belt, like every middle schooler, I stumbled in the darkness head on by simply living and learning. Having begun to learn these new life skills, I entered high school. I am now awake and starving, and I have already decided that I must find food. Pretty quickly in life, I went from a clueless middle schooler to a know-it-all high schooler. I had gained some independence, I had experienced more of life, and I had received more education. I felt capable of making decisions for myself. I felt certain I knew the way forward, knew where I was going, but I more than just stubbed my toe on the door or stumbled down the stairs. I got into such a rush to experience life that at times I forgot the lights were still off. I would end up taking many wrong turns and running into many obstacles. But like any journey, wrong turns must be expected and learned from. Making mistakes is a part of life, and I can assure you that I have made many mistakes throughout high school. But if you learn from these mistakes, you can let these mistakes guide you back towards the light. Today, I still have not reached the end of my journey, but now I feel like I know what I'm looking for. To me, this hunger-driven journey represents the normal struggles of a teenager, searching for the goodness and beauty in life. While life's journey, especially as a student, can be dark and painful at times, it is important to remember that there is goodness to be found. Goodness can be found everywhere in life because the Lord and His creations are surprising and new every morning, like the never-ending variations of the torta. Because we have been created in God's image, we are allowed glimpses of this beauty or tastes of the torta every now and then. That's what Eastwood has been for me. I've learned so many things through my time at Eastwood that have helped me truly experience the goodness in life and see the beauty around me. The education and experiences it offers has provided me with the tools for satisfying the hunger in my life and finding the good. Now to thank some of the people who have helped me through my high school journey. To the class, thank y'all for being the most fun and weird group to go through high school with. Mr. Miller, thank you for enlightening me by introducing me to the torta cubana. Mr. Givens, or Coach Givens, thank you for pushing me through cross-country fitness. Fitness pizza in my mouth. Miss Taylor, thank you for so graciously donating me one of your kidneys. You saved my life. Miss Minshew, thank you for being the coolest teacher out there. I will never forget body slamming you into the pool in New Orleans. Eastwood is truly losing a great one. Miss Chrysler, thank you for putting up with me in middle school and letting me cover your entire classroom in ketchup for a project. Mr. Teal, thank you for being an absolute bro, putting up with our 6-period economics classes and playing buck with us at lunch. You have made such a huge impact at this school, and I know you'll be greatly missed. Miss Geiger, thank you for helping me through thesis. I could not have done it without you. Miss Givens, thank you for all you've done for the play. The play will always be some of the fondest memories of mine at Eastwood. I would like to thank the entire Connolly family. Y'all are the true definition of a second family. I was so blessed that I was able to grow up and be raised by y'all. I love each and every one of you so much. Chad, thank you for being the older brother I never had. I will never forget the endless amounts of hours we spent playing FIFA together, or just going to get a Circle K Sammy at 2 in the morning. I love you, bro, and I can't wait to be in Auburn with you. Meemaw and Pop, thank you for instilling in me some of that slap-out Alabama charm. Meemaw, your cooking is amazing, but your display of love and kindness is even better. You are one of a kind, and I'm so thankful to call you my grandmother. Pop, I do not know how you got that woman, but somehow you did. I'm allowed to make fun of you because you are the one who truly brings humor into our family. I've been told so many times that I get most of my personality from you, and there would not be another person I'd want to get it from. Love y'all. Nana, you are most definitely the coolest 74-year-old woman I know. I will always cherish going to the movies with you. You are an infectiously fun and caring person to be around, and I love you and I'm so grateful for you. Nate, otherwise known as Coconut Head, thanks for being the best little brother ever. While I admit that you are better at basketball than me, I'm still taller than you. Love you, bro. Mackenzie, thank you for watching Dave Chappelle or Catching Killers with me whenever you come home. Thank you for always listening to my crazy music and acting like you like it. I could have not asked for a better older sister. Love you. Mom and Dad, both of you are the greatest parents I could ever ask for. Dad, you are the true definition of a man. Strong, intelligent, caring, and loves golf. I love you and hope to be just like you one day. Mama Llama. You're the hardest working person I know, yet also one of the funniest and kindest too. Your determination to get the job done, but also your fun spirit is something I hope to develop in life one day. Love you. As my speech comes to a conclusion, I would like to leave you all with a calling. Strive for goodness in your life. Seek the torta.
Well done. Well done. You sang your glory today. You sang your story. We got to hear. Which brings us to Odysseus' final singing. It's pretty interesting. A bard usually picks up a lyre, a little instrument, strings it, and starts playing. That's not quite what happens for Odysseus. Odysseus, mastermind in action, once he'd handled the great bow and scanned every inch, then, like an expert singer, skilled at lyre and song, who strains a new string to a new peg with ease, make the pliant sheepgut fast at either end, so with virtuoso ease, Odysseus strung his mighty bow. Quickly, his right hand plucked the string to test its pitch. Quickly, his right hand plucked the string to test its pitch, and under his touch it sang out clear and sharp as a swallow's cry. Horror swept through the suitors, faces blanching white, and Zeus cracked the sky with a bolt, his blazing sign. The great man who had borne so much rejoiced at last. So, there comes a time when talking is over, singing is over. It's time for action. Odysseus knew the moment when he strung his bow, he was going to sing a different sort of story, but not a story where he told a tale again, but a story where he did something, where he restored order in his kingdom, where he redeemed his bride, where he put his son back on the throne. It's a good story. But it wasn't just words, it was action. So you've told your story. And the day has come for you to live your story. So as you go from here, may you be, as Scripture tells us, arrows in a quiver, arrows in the hand of a warrior, sent forth to bring justice and life and goodness and glory, not just for yourself, but for the God who made you, for the King who one day will return to redeem his bride, restore his kingdom, retain his throne. It's a good story. I love each of you guys. I've enjoyed teaching you. We've still got more to do. We've still got a test. We've still got an exam, so just hang on. But I'm proud of each of you. I think you've done a great job, and I look forward to see you go forth and live your story. I'm going to pray for you guys. Father God, we thank you for the great story. We thank you that we can rest in the truth that you will return. You will restore order. You will redeem your bride. I pray that until that day, we would be arrows in the hand of you, our warrior, who goes before us. And Lord, that we would be, that these seniors would be, instruments of grace to spread your truth and your love wherever they go from here, Lord. We love you, Lord Jesus. It is in your name we pray. Amen.